Hi, I'm Робин Эксфорд. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm going to be talking with you and the Institute of Musical Initiative today about positioning yourself as an independent artist. It's going to be a bit of a motivational talk. So let's get started. A little bit of information about myself. My name's Робин Эксфорд. I'm a British musical producer, and I've been based in Moscow, Russia for the past 10 years. I've been working in the music industry for about 20 years, and I work predominantly in pop music and dance music. And I particularly am excited with underground music and find that this kind of interest feeds my work in pop, etc., etc. So what I wanted to go through quickly is what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about how you can manage yourself and start to develop yourself as an independent artist in the music industry today. It's a very different industry than any of us have ever known before. And this is really exciting. But it can also be a really daunting process for new artists wanting to release their music to the world and really not sure where to start. So this talk today is going to go through some really fundamental things, but it's also going to share some insights in how the music industry works and how you can actually develop a sustainable and interesting and exciting career for yourself in music. After that, we're going to do some questions and answers, and I hope some of you have put some of your questions already forward to IMI in Instagram, etc. But if you haven't, you can also put a question in the live chat now, and we'll get those questions, and I'll go through them at the end with all of you. Okay, so let's get started. So what we need to look at first is the marketplace. Okay, the marketplace has changed. It's radically changed. The music industry is an incredibly important and powerful industry for practically every nation on the planet. And if we look at the primary markets, which are the UK, the US, Japan, Asia, and Russia, these are really, really interesting times. I don't know whether you knew this, but a year ago, according to financial statistics, the music industry was worth £5.2 billion to the UK economy. I mean, that's a huge amount. That makes it one of the top 5 industries. And when you kind of look at it like that, you start to realize actually music's pretty important. There are so many different aspects to the music industry market, every single aspect within live, within recording, and the infrastructure that goes around those. So this is a really interesting industry where there's lots and lots of opportunity, not just as creatives, but also as people working behind the scenes, technical work, administrational work, legal work, financial work in terms of royalty collection and all of these things. They might sound quite boring to you, but what we're going to look at is how you as a creative, and particularly a creative, can integrate yourself into this industry. Okay, so I said the UK, like 5.2 billion. Now the USA is 12.2 billion dollars. I mean, it's a huge, huge market. Now, I don't actually have transparent information about how much money is the music industry in Russia worth. This is not publicly shared information, and even if it was, it's not particularly transparent. However, I can promise you that in Russia, it is also a very lucrative industry. Everywhere you look, every product you see, practically every media products, every bit of content requires music. Okay, pretty much. Not everything, but on a whole, music is connected to so many different things. Advertising, films, we've got radio, we've got music in shops, we've got music in gyms. You know, the music's just about everywhere we go, okay? Every device we have, there's tones, there's themes, there's so many things where music is used and licensing for music is generated. So these are important things just to understand, that as a creator, as a musician, an artist, a producer, you are creating something that people need. Without you, there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing, okay? There's old music that everyone's heard 100 times, all right? But you're the people, and we are the people that create the new things. We create new content. This is exciting. And there are people that want to buy this from you. Even if they don't want to buy it from you, there are ways that you can use this to generate income and a sustainable career for yourself. Okay, so the next thing to understand really is that the market has radically changed. Okay, we used to have what I would call the traditional music industry. And let's just think about that for a second. The traditional music industry used to be 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It used to be a situation where it was expensive to make music, okay? You had to make it, you needed certain equipment, and you couldn't really record high quality music within your home. And you then had to release that music. And to release that music, you probably needed to put it on a physical format, like a CD, okay? Or earlier than that, cassette or vinyl. People are still making vinyl today, and this is a great thing, by the way. So we'll try and touch on that a little bit later if we can. But what I want you to understand is that it was expensive. You know, you had to take a risk. And therefore, companies like record labels, like publishing companies, they were very particular on what they chose to take that risk on. They had to choose music and artists that they believed would sell, because they have to physically make a product, or they have to pay for recording costs that then need to be recouped. And for those of you who are not sure what the word recouped means, it means that that money needs to come back to the business through sales before they can pay the artist any money from those sales. So it's, you know, it's a typical business model. So that's the traditional music business in a nutshell, okay? Now, that's changed because, you know, the internet kicked off in the 90s, and in 2001, CD sales collapsed. And we started to be in a place in the music industry where we didn't understand how we can sell music and how we can generate money from music. So this was a really uncertain and quite scary time for the music industry. Now, if we fast forward 10 years, because it really took more than 10 years for the music industry to truly understand how it can generate money again from music sales, we now have streaming. We now have a lot of platforms where you can buy music. Obviously, this is not as popular as subscribing for streaming platforms. Now, this is an incredible thing, and it's an incredibly powerful thing for creators and artists, because today, you and I, we can sit at home. We don't need a big recording studio anymore. We can make our record on our laptop. If we need to record something like strings or vocals, we can always go to a recording studio and pay for that time. But the rest of the work, more or less, can be done on a home computer with very little expense, okay? And very little expensive software to get good results. This is the truth. You also don't need to make any financial serious risk, some serious financial investment. You don't really need to do this. You've got your equipment, you're making music. You don't need to go and press 1,000 CDs or 100 vinyl or 500 vinyl and distribute them everywhere. You don't need to do this anymore, okay? You just go to a distributor and you send it and it's released. And in many cases, this can be for free, or they will take a percentage of all of the streams that are generated. Now, those percentages vary depending on company, depending on your position in the music industry. So I'm not going to go too deep into that. Some companies like TuneCore, they make you pay a little fee for releasing a single. I can't remember what it is exactly, but it might be $10 or $14, something like this. So there are lots of different models for this, but in theory, that's not really a lot of money to spend, is it? You know, it's nothing. Like before, you used to have to spend £1,000, £2,000, which in Russian terms, that's 100,000 rubles, to get your CDs done and put them in every shop. You don't really need to do anything like that anymore. You don't even need to leave your house. So this is a really, really powerful thing. But at the same time, this means that everyone is accessing the marketplace, okay? And that means that this is a competitive place, all right? So if we look at the slide that's behind me, you can see traditional versus current. We've kind of gone through that. We're now access to the entry of the marketplace is lower than ever, all right? So what I mean by that is that you do not need to spend money to get into the marketplace. And more than that, before, a record company would actually choose you or reject you, okay, as an artist. They go, don't like your music. Okay, yeah, the music's not good. Because maybe they're looking at 2 or 3 other artists and they prefer that. So there was some kind of quality control. Now, of course, music needs to be good. Of course it does, all right? But what I would say to you is there's 100,000 different people releasing records, you know? And the truth is that the quality of that is only down to releasing it and seeing what happens with it. You know, it's really hit and miss in many times, okay, in many instances. So I'm not saying that there's a lot of bad music. There isn't. There's a lot of very exciting music. But the wonderful thing about this is that anyone can do it. You can do it. I can do it. We can finish a track today, upload it to our distributor, and within 24 hours, more or less, it could be in Spotify or iTunes. Most distributors want you to plan and want you to give a 2, 3, or 4 week minimum lead in to your release, okay? But in theory, it's not costing us anything. And there is no kind of gatekeepers saying, oh, you can't release this music, okay? It's not good, we don't like it, it's not right for our label, and you try lots of different labels. So those days are gone. So this is a really, really interesting time. But what that means is that we're in a highly competitive environment, highly competitive. So that's not a negative thing. It's a really good thing. It's going to push you to be the best you can be. Okay, if there was no competition, well, to be honest, there wouldn't be this kind of strive to better yourself, for your graphics to be amazing, for your promotion to be amazing, for your marketing to be amazing. You know, you'd just be like, yeah, I'm releasing and we'll just do it like that. So competition is a good thing. It's a really good thing. It pushes you to be the best you can be. Some people are good within these kind of remits and parameters. Other people are not so good. You know, that's life. So one thing that we need to truly take from this is planning is really, really important, okay? It's absolutely essential. Now, if you were just to make a record and release it and not think about what genre you're doing, not think about what audience it's for, what age group it is it more for females, males, all of these kind of things. If you don't start to think about that and you don't start to plan your steps of releasing, you're probably going to find out that you've wasted some time and that your music's released, it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on Apple, it's on Yandex, but, you know, Tumbleweed is just kind of blown past. You've got maybe 100 plays because you listened to it 100 times, and maybe some of your friends listen to it. You know, what we've got to understand as creators is that we are in a marketplace, okay, whether we like it or not. the music industry has changed, okay? And we are not just musicians and creators anymore. You have to be that. Without that, there is no music, right? But after that, you actually need to do some work to actually position your music so that you can really reap the benefit of your hard work in the creative process. Okay, so planning is absolutely key. So we're going to talk mainly about producers and artists, but to be honest with you, this could also apply to songwriters, you know, or well, I think we'll kind of limit it to that at the moment. It could also be for composers that are doing scoring for film or for advertising. But let's focus on the kind of producer artist, all right? And when I'm talking about producers, this could be a producer that is producing artists to then release himself, herself, themselves, okay? So they would release multiple projects. Or it could be a producer in the modern term of producer, where it could be a beat maker, it could be an electronic producer, it could be someone who makes hip hop or rock, and they're just producing that style and they have their own act name or producer name. There are several people like this. Of course there are. This is the modern term of a producer. So I think the first thing that you need to do is you need to determine what your goal is. What do you really want to achieve? Now, that's a really global question, and your answers are all going to be different. But it's really, really, really important that you try and visualize that and you try and be really clear on what you want to do. You should identify, right, well, I'm going to make this type of music. And within this type of music, I want to be the best at this, and I want to play at this venue. Now, if you want to play at the Super Bowl in America, you know, at the American football kind of halftime, or you want to play in Times Square, or you want to play in the Royal Albert Hall in London, or you want to tour Europe with your band, that's fine. These are really important things to have. You must have these dreams, okay? Because without those, you're not going to reach anywhere near that. Okay, you need to solidify that idea and be confident that you can achieve it, because I tell you something, you can achieve it. All right, you absolutely can. So it's really important that you define that goal. All right, and then you need to work out what steps you need to take to get there. Okay, now this is the part where most people go, oh, well, I don't really understand, because, you know, I want to make music, and, you know, I'm going to release music, and, you know, obviously my music's going to be popular and popular and more popular, and then I'll get to where I want. Okay, so what do you need around your music that will help you reach your goal quicker? Okay, if you were to do it all by yourself, it's an incredibly long path. Okay, it takes a long time. All right. So that doesn't mean that you can't be lucky and something amazing can happen at some point and suddenly, boom, we're much more successful. But you cannot plan for that. And you must never plan for the unknown. You should always try and limit yourself to what you can control. And if something happens outside that, something extraordinary, well, that's amazing. Well done, you, because that's brilliant. Okay. But I will talk a little bit more about this later in terms of preparing ourselves mentally for this kind of stuff. But I think it's really important to start to understand that there are some things that you really need outside of you as just a musician, just a producer. And what could those be? Well, we're probably going to need to understand marketing. Okay, we're probably going to need to understand some design elements and some content creation. We are creators. We are enthusiasts at doing creative things, but it's really difficult. And the more and more we do things and the more and more we build this plan, we understand that we can't do everything. All right. You know, it's really important to try and do as much as you can so that you use all of the resources that you have yourself. But you are probably going to need some assistance. Otherwise, you're going to have to learn a lot of skills and a lot of things that are going to take away time from your creativity. Okay, so what do you think you might need? Well, you might think, well, I need someone who understands marketing. I need someone who's going to do my graphics and my video clips and all those kind of things. Okay, then you're going to need someone who potentially could get you some shows. Who is that? Well, that could be a manager. If we're talking about the Russian market, there is definitely an opportunity as an independent artist to employ a manager. If we're talking about the European and American market, we're in a catch-22 situation often where we have to show ourselves to be popular and good and interesting before a manager will work for us. Now, why is there that difference? Well, fundamentally, that difference exists because in Russia, most managers on a low level are paid a fee, a monthly fee, okay, to manage for you. Whereas in the UK, Europe, and America, most managers operate on a percentage basis only. So they will take a percentage of everything they generate for you. So they're looking at you and they're thinking, right, how can I make money out of this person? How can I monetize this? Okay, so they need to be sure that you resonate with an audience. They need to know that they can position you and increase your net worth. Okay, whereas in Russia, they will also want to do the same thing because they get a percentage, but they have some kind of base income coming from you. So that's a little nuance there, but it's an important nuance to understand. And in terms of those of you who are Russian artists and producers, this is a really cool thing because actually there are several universities in Moscow, at least, that are every year outputting quite knowledgeable potential Russian music managers. Okay, and they're ready to work, and they want to work because they want to earn money, and they want to earn money, and they want you to be successful so that they can rise their status as managers. So there is lots of opportunity to find a good new manager that you can work with in Russia. So that's quite exciting. And like I said, for Europe and the West, it's a little bit more of a catch-22, and you need to do a lot of hard work first before a manager is really going to be interested in you. Of course, you can approach a manager, just contact them, okay? But you'll find that most managers, once you reach a certain level, they will find you, okay? And that's when things start to get really interesting, okay? So let's just have a little bit of a look further. What support, investment, and resources do you need? Okay, well, if we took this on a very basic level, that you're a singer-songwriter, or you're an indie pop artist, or you're a hip-hop producer, or a dance music producer, and you're pretty self-contained, and therefore, what I mean by that is that you've got a home studio set up, maybe a laptop, microphone, synthesizer, that kind of thing, nothing too crazy, but you can output good quality music. Well, that's already your creation solved. Now, if you're a band, you're probably going to have to consider recording studios. You're probably going to have to consider production, mixing, and these things are costly. Okay, they can be cheap, of course, but they can be very expensive. And I always recommend that you should pay for the best quality that you possibly can at any point. But these costs will go up as your status rises and as you start to work with higher people within the music industry. So this is one thing that you need. You're going to need other resources. You're going to need financial resources for marketing. You're going to need these. It doesn't have to be very much, but we're going to talk soon about how you should structure yourself for moving forwards in the music industry in terms of releasing and what you need to do. And these resources, especially financial resources, will become a little bit more apparent and more relevant when we talk about that. Now, The other thing that you need to understand is time, okay? You need to be prepared. You need to be more than that. You need to be pre-prepared, okay? You need to be ready. You need to give yourself time so that you can actually fulfill the steps of your plan without any faults, okay? It doesn't matter if you don't quite get everything, but you need to stick to it. There's no point having a plan that is impossible, okay? And only you really can decide what plan fits you best. Now, I'm going to talk through a very typical structure of how to establish yourself relatively quickly within a genre. But you need to just remember that you have time, okay? You're in control of time. Nothing is so important that it can't wait a little bit longer so that you're ready, okay? In this same breath, try not to procrastinate, okay? Try not to just sit there going, oh, it's not quite good enough, and I need to do another mix, and I need to do this, and yeah, maybe I need to redo the vocals, right? Okay, you don't need to do that, okay? Just be confident. You need to work to a point that you're confident that that piece of music is finished, okay? And just next one. It's all about getting your mental attitude right for moving forwards, okay? And understanding that you do have time. You really do have time, okay? So let's move on. Do your homework, all right? This sounds, I don't want you to think that this talk is too like pushing against you, but for some of you, you'll be quite experienced. For others of you, you're perhaps not so experienced. And the industry, many of us look at it, and I certainly remember that I used to look at it when I was younger, like, oh, it's the music industry. I don't know. There's no telephone numbers anywhere. I started in the music industry when the internet really wasn't a thing. We only just had telephones, like mobile telephones, and smartphones didn't exist. Social profiles certainly didn't exist, okay? And to find a contact detail for someone was really hard. I remember having to try and find it by reading like CD sleeves and vinyl covers and looking at the website or maybe the contact number of a record label or a distributor or a publisher, and then phoning them, okay? You know, that's the truth. You need to do your homework. So my best advice to you moving forwards is understand your genre. If you work in hip hop, you know, okay, cool. So who are the important producers in hip hop at the moment where you are, in your territory, in your country, in your city, okay? What studios are they working in? Find it out. Find out the numbers. Who manages these artists? Find them, okay? It will say online, if you type in the artist name and you say manager of this artist, right? You will find on the internet some information. Why? Because just about everybody likes to talk about themselves now on the internet, okay? So you're going to find this information. If you want to get in touch with labels, who do you need to speak to at a record label? Well, you need to speak to the A&R, okay, the artist and repertoire. These are the people responsible for finding and developing new music for a record label, okay? So you need to speak with them. If you're a writer, if you write your own music, if you are creating intellectual property, which is all of you, I'm sure of it, then you need to talk to publishers, because publishers are very important. For those of you who are not quite aware, there are two revenue streams in music. There's one for the exploitation of the master recording, which is what we hear, okay? And that's what's streamed and what we listen to everywhere. That's the master. We're hearing the master. And that's controlled by the label. And then there's the intellectual property. It's the actual musical notes and the idea. That intellectual property and the idea, that can be used and recreated infinite amounts of times. It can be put in different languages. It can be a rock track that's made into an R&B track. It could be then made into a dance club house record, you know. It can be done 100 different ways, but it's still the same idea. Okay, and that is the world of the publisher. And when we're talking about music that goes with film and anything that is synchronized to anything visual, so an advert, any kind of game or application that has moving animation and your music, then that is the realm of the publisher. And publishers are paid fees to use your music. All right. And you will receive a very large percentage of those fees. So publishers and labels are your friends. Okay. So you need to know who they are and which ones are right for your type of music, which ones look after the same kind of artist as you. All right. You also need to research artists and groups that are similar to you, understand your genre, understand the community around that genre. You know, this is a really important part of positioning yourself as an artist. Right now, it's an incredible time. You know, we have access to directly communicate with artists. Now, if I sit on my telephone today and I kind of comment on Justin Bieber's post, right? It's not going to do anything. Justin Bieber's not going to notice me. I don't really want to speak to Justin Bieber, but I'm just saying, like, if we look at it on that kind of level, that's not going to work. But if I want to communicate with an artist like Love, maybe, okay, like an indie pop artist that's kind of lower down, but still important, really relevant, and you start to comment, you start to release your music's similar, well, his fans might start communicating with you. They also might start checking out your page. Under no circumstances should you ever write, hey, come check out my music. Have any of you ever followed the thing, hey, come check out my, I don't think any of you ever have. So please don't do this. The best way is to just organically communicate with other people that are on the same level as you within your genre. Now, the more global your genre is, like pop, for example, or alternative, the harder it is to find this community. It's not impossible, but it's harder because there are literally hundreds of thousands of people releasing this music, okay? So to find them and connect with them is not so simple. When you're talking about more niche genres, like a particular electronic genre, for example, or some kind of, you know, indie rock form that has a very definite community, you'll find it much easier to network within those communities. And this will really help you position yourself, okay? However, you are still going to need marketing and you're still going to need PR. For those of you who don't quite understand what the difference is, PR is public relations. And these people are really, really responsible for generating the image of yourself across multiple platforms at the same time. So PR's responsibility is for communicating with all media outlets and giving everybody the exact same image of you, not just a picture, but text, building a story about who you are, really presenting you to the world in a structured way, okay? PR is expensive. All right, it is expensive. There's no doubt about it. It's going to cost you somewhere in the region of £1,000 or 100,000 rubles per month to do this. Okay, and without doubt, you'll be looking at something like a 6 months to 1 year contract for PR. So PR is not something to start playing with until you're really ready, okay? And you're really definite that this is the way you're going and you've already generated significant inroads within the marketplace. Now, marketing can be anything from like SMM, which is social media management, or just target marketing. And in Russia, we have like people called targetolog. Okay, they are just like targeting marketing specialists. We have people who are just specialists on Russian platform VK. We have people who are specialists on Facebook, on Instagram, etc. We also have people with curated playlists on Spotify, etc. People who are specialists on TikTok. So these things are important. Now, as a new artist, what is important is that you start to analyze the other artists in your genre and see what are they doing. You know, what kind of posts they're doing, what kind of videos are they doing, what kind of content are they making, and which ones are getting the best reactions. You know, you can see that. What's nice nowadays is we can see how many likes it gets. We can see how many comments it get. And you can sit and say to me, well, of course, because they've got like 15,000 followers or 150,000 followers. You know, what you need to look at is you need to understand what percentage of that audience that you see is actually engaging with the post. Are we looking at 2%? Are we looking at 10%? Are we looking at 20% that are actually engaging with the post? As a rule of thumb, you should be getting something like 20% retention from your subscribers. So if you have 1,000 subscribers, you should be expecting about 200 interactions with your post. Now, that's not necessarily all comments, but you should see some comments there, etc. So, I mean, this is just rule of thumb. That's quite healthy, 20%. Now, most of the time, we're looking at 10%. When you see people's accounts that are in the millions, you're probably only looking at 2% because they gain their audience in different ways, through competitions, through all sorts of things. And a lot of their followers are not necessarily core followers. All right. They're not people that buy into everything they do. So this is a really important part of moving forwards. Do your homework, understand stuff, understand what people are doing, who people are, who are the people that you need to contact. Now, the internet's great for finding this stuff, but also you can really look at who is involved in each track. You know, you can look at a track that's released, you'll be able to see who distributes it, who produced it, which studio it was recorded at. You can find this in several databases. A great one for this would be something like Discogs on the internet, okay? If you don't know Discogs, check it out. It's called Discogs, and it's a public open platform where people populate the information about records, all types of records, okay? So third-party services. What are third-party services? Well, it's everything from radio plugging, design creative. It's anything that you need additionally, okay? This could be booking agents in some kind of way as well, maybe some unusual form of this. But more importantly, it brings us on to an interesting thing called label services company. Now, we are going to talk about this a lot more, okay? But we are in a very interesting time right now, where, as we said, anybody can release work independently through a distributor, and within 24 hours, it can be in every store in the world. Well, that's great. But, you know, the work that a record label does, okay, is far more than you can actually do by yourself. Record labels, most of the good ones, if we talk about majors and even some considerably important independent labels, they have regular contact with the key platforms: Spotify, Yandex, Apple Music, Deezer, Amazon, YouTube, etc. And they are having meetings with these companies almost weekly. And at least once a week, they will deliver directly to their account manager at the platform. They will deliver directly the latest music from their label, and they will pitch for that music to be given some special priority on the platform, maybe like hot record of the week, or new records to watch, or, you know, feature on everyone's new music radar, or feature in some playlists. And this is done based on good relationships, okay? Now, that seems to an independent artist deeply unfair, because you kind of think, well, my music's just as good as the music that's coming from the record label. So how can I get access to that? If you try and phone them and just go, hey, my name's Sally, I'm a new singer and I've got a great new record, and, you know, I really would like you to consider it, they're not going to talk to you. Actually, you just can't do that, okay? Because can you imagine how many hundreds of thousands of phone calls they would have every week of people asking for this? So you just can't do that. So another thing that's occurred is that the music industry has recognized that specialist skills for marketing, for promotion, are really required even by record labels now and independent artists. And these services are incredibly valuable. So what has developed in the past 3, 4, 5 years are label service companies. Label service companies often have developed out of distributors, because distributors take your music as an independent artist and distribute it to every platform. So they've started to add additional services like marketing, like promotion. Now, there are several key label services companies. One of those is Believe. Another one is Caroline International. There's the Orchard. There are several in every territory. Okay, and these label service companies offer this kind of bridge between being signed to a label and being an independent artist, because they do not sign your music. They do not control the masters of your music like a record label does, but they will provide you all of the expertise of a record label for a percentage share of all the money generated from the work that you guys do together. So it's a really interesting thing, and it's a really great thing to build towards. As a new artist, you should be thinking, okay, I have 2 options. I have 3 options. Actually, you have 3. You can release as an independent artist and producer and build yourself, build your reputation, and just remain completely independent to yourself. You might have a manager. You'll have to pay them 20% of everything that you earn. You might have some other assistants and things that you're going to have to pay for. But in theory, you're in control of everything. Okay, that's one option, and it's really possible and it's really plausible. Okay, but then you have a second option, and the second option is to build my music, generate a little bit of hype and interest, and try to gain the interest of a record label so that you can be signed to a recording contract for an album, 2 albums, 3 albums. Okay, this is the second option. This is not such an easy option, but it's still really valid, really relevant, and really possible. Third option is that you build your reputation again as an independent artist. You get to a point where a label services company is an option for you. Now, the interesting thing about a label services company is they only have limited resources. They can't work for everybody because they're going to do so much for you. All right, they can't take on 300 clients, but they can take on 10, maybe. Maybe they take on less. Maybe they take on 20. Okay, and these are going to be artists that they really care about and they really help establish them. So what's important to a label services company is the fact that you already show them that you're interesting to invest in. And how do we do that? We do that by building our position within our genre and showing that our music is connecting to an audience. All right, so a label services company will then want to work with you. You have to contact them, or maybe they will contact you. I know for certain company like Believe, they're very aggressive, and actually they're interested in lots of different things in terms of, certainly in Russia. In Russia, they actually contact artists that are on other labels and invite them to be part of Believe. That's particularly aggressive. However, they're a very good label services company, and it would be great if any of you can build yourself up and start to be in a position where Believe would like to work with you, because they are not going to ask you to pay for anything. They're going to partner with you, and by partnering with you, they then take a percentage of the earnings that you make, but they do not control or own your masters, and that's really important. Okay, so what do you need to do? You need to create your own position. Okay, you are the business. Okay, you are the business. All right. It's great to look at this industry and think, well, I just want to make music, and yeah, I'm just going to find a label, and I'm going to send demos to labels, and labels going to sign me, and I'm going to be a star. Great. This is possible. Trust me, it is possible, because it does happen, but it's 1 in a million. Okay, it's one in such a small percentage. It's such a small percentage of all creators nowadays. And you know why? Because the music industry doesn't need to work like this anymore. This is the old version of the music industry. This is the traditional version of the music industry. The new version of the music industry just sits and it watches and it goes, okay, she's getting really big on social. Oh, wow, they're doing really well. This band, yeah, everyone's talking about them. Okay. And they see the numbers. They see how many times you streamed. Okay. They can see this instantly. Okay. I'm going to tell you about a site that the industry use a little bit later, that you can use yourself, and you can start to monitor how other artists act and how they're performing within the music industry, how their socials perform. Okay. And the music industry use this software, and within a couple of clicks, they can tell what your audience is like, whether it's real, whether you've paid for it. And look, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but never pay for your audience. Okay. So create your own position. All right. You need to change your mental attitude towards what you do. You need to become a pro. Okay. What is becoming a pro? A pro is becoming the master of your craft. Okay, it's dedicating the time and focus to what you do to be the best you can be. That doesn't mean that you have to be the best you can ever be now. Okay, because that's unrealistic. I'm 42 years old and I'm still learning. I'm still getting better. The last thing I did was the best thing I did. And every time you do something, it's the best thing you do. Okay, but you need to approach your work with a professional mindset, that you are creating a product. You are creating something that someone wants to buy. And more importantly, you need to start thinking that actually what you do has value. It's a really important mind shift. Music's free everywhere, okay? But that doesn't mean you should work for free. You are working. You have dedicated time and passion and skill and education and money and resources to something you truly believe in. And that's as valuable as anything else. But you need to be realistic. If you wanted to be a lawyer or a doctor, okay, and you wanted to be the best at that, you would need to work for several years until you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm really arriving at something good and I'm starting to. Why is music any different? It's not. Okay, you need to work. You need to become the master of your craft. It's not just luck and, tonight I wrote a cool tune and, there is that, but there is becoming the master of your craft. You need to be able to do this again and again and again. And we're going to come on to the reason why you need to be able to do this again and again and again. Okay, so the next thing you need to think about is your branding, your image. You don't need to look all shiny and bubblegum like a pop artist. You need to look what's right for you and what's right for your genre. Okay, so this comes back to doing your homework. Like, look at your scene. If you want to stand out in your scene, how do you need to do things a little bit differently? But you probably shouldn't do them so differently that it's unrecognizable. All right. There will be some of you sitting there saying, well, I don't know what genre I am. I'm not any genre. I make music that's not any genre. Well, cool. That's great. But I promise you, you fit into some kind of bracket. I promise you, you do. Okay. I too have been responsible in my life and working on projects that are unique. And this brings us on to the next thing. You must be unique. You must be absolutely unique. Nobody wants a copy. Okay. You need to be within genre, within style, but you need to generate a unique aesthetic. You need to be yourself. All right. You need to have a unique style of content that will make you slightly different to everybody else, but not so different. You don't need to reinvent the wheel as a new artist. You just need to think carefully about yourself and have a definite tone of aesthetic that you can push again and again and again. And remember, you need to do this frequently. You need to do this so often that it shouldn't be hard work for you. All right? You should be able to do this like, okay, I need to do this, 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 and that's it. That's my post done. That's my little clip done. We're done. We're doing this. We're pushing this out. And we're going to come on to the reasons for that really soon. Okay. So the next thing that you need to kind of distinguish in your mind as a new artist, new producer, or certainly someone that's coming to a choice and saying, okay, I'm ready to do a new project, you need to think, which route am I going to go on? All right. Am I going to go for kind of commercial, mainstream, or am I going to go on a more underground and niche path? Okay. There's no right or wrong, but I'm going to go through with you now some of the pros and cons of both of those. And we're going to look at some examples of some kind of earning potentials for each. All right. So let's have a look. Mainstream pros and cons. Okay. So let's have a look at the pros right now. For mainstream, we've got high earning potential. You have a potential of just earning a lot of money because this is commercial music. This is popular music that therefore should resonate with large audiences. Okay, it doesn't matter the genre, rock, pop, hip hop, dance. These are all popular forms of music, R&B, whatever. You know, these things are popular mainstream genres. Okay, and so therefore your reach is huge. You even more than that, you have global reach, especially if your music is in English, or even growingly if your music is in Hispanic, right? You know, we've got J-pop getting big, K-pop getting big. So language is not so important as it used to be. Now, if we talk about Russian language, we have a few barriers with Russian language. However, if we're looking at Russian language and we're looking at Russia as a nation, CIS, and then we're looking at Slavic-speaking nations throughout Europe, it's a huge territory. There are just absolutely millions and millions of listeners for this. Okay, so let's not think language is a huge barrier. Okay, let's not make language the reason that we don't do something. All right. The next pro is teamwork. All right. When you work in mainstream, you're going to need to work with teams of people. You're going to need management. You're going to need designers. You're going to need content creators. You're going to need label services or a label. You're going to need publishing. You're going to need booking agents. You're going to need tour manager. You're going to need all sorts of things. There are going to be business to business agreements, sponsorships, working with brands, working with equipment companies. This is all an exciting thing where you're really creating quite a complex business around yourself. Okay, this is mainstream. Okay, mainstream also offers a very fast path to success because when you get your formula correct of the type of music, your genre, your style, your aesthetic, your sound, your song, this is going to connect. This will connect in all the right places with marketing teams, with PR, with radio pluggers, and we're there. We've broken into a marketplace, okay? So this can be a very fast way to success. However, it has also expensive production values. Now, that's a pro because it's going to sound great. It's going to look great. Even if it wants to look like indie lo-fi or alternative, it's still going to look cool. It's going to look money. Yeah, because this is it. You know, if we look at something that is mainstream but is like the antithesis of mainstream, we'd be looking at a group like the Prodigy who keep this kind of DIY feel. But do you know what? It even looks money. You know, it looks good. So Chemical Brothers, this kind of thing. I know I'm kind of touching on dance music here, but these are quite good examples. Okay, where you know the aesthetic is definitely underground, but it just looks money. It's great. It's expensive production values. And that really resonates. So this is a real plus for mainstream, okay? There is an absolutely huge market with limitless potential. Sky's the limit. How many actors have come out of the music industry? We've got J-Lo in films, you know, everyone's just about in a film. You can do anything. You can branch out into perfumes, you can do clothing, you can do all of these things. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that if you're independent, but in mainstream, it's much easier to branch out in these ways because you have the financial resources to do that. So let's have a look at some cons. Okay, it's very competitive, very, very competitive. If you type in pop music on the internet or alternative music, the chances of me finding your record, if I type in alternative music, are like 1,000,000 to 1. I'm going to find it really hard to find you. Now, let's just think about that on a target marketing point of view. How many people on social networks in the world have said they're interested in pop music and alternative music? Well, absolutely billions. But the fact is that they're probably not going to be interested in your particular type of pop music. Now, if you get it right, they will be. If you have the right teams, they will be. But for most people who are starting as artists and producers and they go, oh yeah, I make pop music, this starts to become a really tricky point because it's highly competitive. There is a very low success rate. There are literally hundreds of thousands of new pop records. There are 14 million songs uploaded to Spotify every year. And the number's going up, 14 million songs every year, okay? And a large percentage of those are pop and alternative. Okay, there's so much music. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just preparing you. This is a reality. There is no reason why you can't be successful, but you need to recognize that if you're going down the mainstream route, you know, it's incredibly expensive because you need to market and promote to a very large audience. You have to market very broadly and your budget needs to be very big. Okay. Another thing that brings us on to is a high likelihood of artistic compromise. Okay, what do I mean by this? I mean that as a singer-songwriter, you might find yourself in a position quite quickly, quite easily, where you need to change your music to fit a market, where you need to work with a particular producer or a particular songwriter or a particular collaboration or a label that says to you, do you know what, it's great, but you know, we really think this would be better on top of a trap beat. And you're like, oh my God. Okay. Well, this occurs. All right. This is reality. This is not a bad thing. It depends on you as a person. If you're ready to take on those risks and chances, then this could really work for you. But there are many artists that are very purist about what they do. And for them, this can be a really difficult situation where your music is changed beyond your, you lose your artistic integrity. You're no longer happy. You can't sleep at night because you're disappointed. Now, do you think that the members of, I can't even think of the boy group right now. Let's just say Boys to Men or Backstreet Boys, yeah, from the 90s, right, with Justin Timberlake and all of that lot. Do you think that they went to bed thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? I don't think so, because they were doing what they really loved. So therefore it was right for them. Maybe one or two members in the group probably weren't so happy, but I think most of them slept at night really well. They were happy with their success because it's definitely what they wanted to do. So I think it's really important that you mentally prepare yourself for what you're entering into and be aware that there could be compromise, okay? Because there often is, all right? Especially the more people are involved in a project, the more cooks in a kitchen, the more likelihood people want to make some changes. And why do people want to make changes? People want to make changes because when they change something, they feel that they are part of it. And that makes them like it more. Okay, that's why there are always too many producers. Okay, they always want to add something, change something, and feel that they did something to help the record become a hit. And when they do that, they truly believe in it. And this is an important point, because if these people truly believe in it, It means that they will promote it to other people in the industry and to the world with real conviction, with real belief. And belief sells things, okay? Humans are incredible things. And if you believe and you show someone that belief, they're likely to believe it too, okay? So sustainability, this is in the cons section, all right? Sustainability is how long will something last, all right? For those of you who are not so up on English language. So how long will a project last, okay? Often pop projects don't last very long. It can lead to great things and it can lead you in different directions, but we all know that we can have 2-3 records and then disappear. We can have just one record disappear. Okay, that's called a one-hit wonder. So again, I've mentioned this a little bit earlier. It's very hard to target a unique audience within the pop world, mainstream commercial world. Very hard. Okay, so niche. Let's have a look at the pros and cons. Okay, this is going to sound like a heaven compared to what I just said, but that's not true. They're just different. And you just need to be aware, because the whole point of this is you being aware and understanding what's ahead of you so that you can adapt for that. All right. Because I personally believe that anything is possible. I am not the person to sit in front of any of you and tell you that you can't achieve something, because that's just wrong. You can, and you can do everything that you want and desire, but you must plan and you must think about these things. Okay, so niche, pros and cons. Pros, it's less competitive. Facts. You're in a much smaller niche. There are boundaries of that niche which you can break, which is exciting. But first, you need to establish yourself within the niche. You get a higher chance of retaining your artistic integrity because you need to be accepted within a musical niche. Therefore, you need to resonate with people. They're going to love what you do. They're not going to try to limit you and restrict you musically. Okay. Teamwork. Again, you're going to have a team, because the more you develop in this, the more you understand you're going to need people. You probably want to get to the point where you have manager, label services. Okay. So, you know, it's really interesting. Just like in pop, you are likely to have a loyal fan base with a global reach. Niche does not mean that you're only going to be in your city. You're only going to be in your country. No, I mean, there are audiences everywhere. Music is absolutely global. It really doesn't matter where you're based, but you must pay attention to where you are, and you must try and build a following within the community that you are in. You can do it from sitting in another country. You can do it. Okay, I absolutely know it can be done. So it is much easier to target your audience. Yeah, you know who they are, you know what they are, you know what age group they are. You can target these through targeted marketing on Instagram, Facebook for contacts. This is much more easy to do. And sustainability is in the pros here, because you are likely to be able to sustain yourself quite easily. But again, you need to understand how you can monetize yourself. All right. So let's have a look at the cons. It's a long path. Whereas in mainstream, we were talking about quite fast access or failure, to be honest. You can go very quickly, but you can also never get there, and you can also fail. Like in niche, it's a longer path. It's a more steady path. You're kind of climbing like this. In pop, you're going like this, okay? In niche, you're going to just go a little bit more steady. It's a long path, all right? So this is in the negative point for most people, because most creators like yourself and like myself, we want things to happen quickly, all right? Well, you know, but there are some realities, okay? And we're going to talk about those realities soon, okay? It's less attractive to investors. Why is it less attractive? Because the money it generates is less. And it doesn't have to be less, because we're going to go through this as well, okay? But the rate of return of money is definitely less. So an investor will invest and they won't feel they will get their money back quick enough. This is potentially one of the largest problems with new independent artists, okay? There is a lower earning potential. There's a lower earning potential because your market is smaller and because of the time it takes to reach the peak of this market, You have a smaller audience in general, okay? And the next one is a con, but I also would say to you, it's kind of a pro, all right? To be in a niche, it really requires you to have particular focus and discipline, okay? This is really about becoming that master of your craft, like I discussed a little bit earlier, but also just being really, really stubborn and focused on what you do and really determined to stick to your plan. And this is really a mindset. And this comes down to the fact of understanding your expectations, all right, and managing those expectations. So I've touched on this a little bit, but we have some financial realities, okay? A mainstream project requires a very serious budget, okay, over a short period of time. So what kind of time are we looking at for a major mainstream project to break? Well, we're looking at anything from 6 months to 18 months, okay, to break a project. Break means to break through into the commercial market and start charting correctly, and for your brand and your name and your music to be everywhere important, okay? Now, that costs somewhere in the region, like, don't quote me exactly, but it costs somewhere in the region of $150,000 to do that, okay, for a mainstream pop act. Pop, commercial, alternative, rock, you're looking at this kind of budget over 1 to 1.5 years. Now, that's quite a lot of money. Okay, you're looking at $5,000 to $10,000 every month to compete in the commercial market. Because if you hadn't noticed, this is a commercial business and you need to pay to play. You've made the music, that's great, well done. You've done step one. There are several steps further that you need to take to actually make impact within that marketplace. And it costs money to do that, because if it didn't cost money, it means that anyone could do it. And then actually we'd just be in the same mess. So what we've got to do is we've got to break through the noise, the hundreds of thousands of people that are releasing. We need to break through that noise and be one of the standout. And to do that, it actually costs money. You need to dedicate money to marketing and PR for sure, and for radio plugging and for campaigns and for all of these different things that are involved in promoting and establishing yourself in the mainstream. So the niche route requires minimal investment over a much longer time period. You can literally do this on a zero budget, as long as you respect that on a zero budget is going to actually just take you longer. Now, if you can dedicate money every month for promotion, for marketing, for playlist inclusion, for all sorts of opportunities, then this can get you to where you need quicker. All right. So how can a project recoup the costs? Now, there are many ways that a project can recoup the costs. Licensing is one of those. For those of you who are not sure what licensing is when your music is licensed to a third company, right? Third party. Either the record label will license it to a film or an advert, or use in a Netflix show, or used as in shops, for example. This is licensing. Anytime your music is put into another catalog or licensed, given permission to be used anywhere, this is a license. Okay, most of these licenses generate an immediate advance. An advance is a small fee for the label or the artist. Now, if you're an independent artist, you can license your music direct, and the money will come directly to you. And this can be lucrative. For example, a very basic advertisement on television can easily give you a fee of $20,000. Okay, easily. Commonly nowadays, we're looking at $5,000, $10,000, but for larger brands, these can be 20, 30, 40, over 100, depending on how popular your music is and what brand would like to use the music what territories of the world they're going to use it in, and for how long are they going to use it. So this can be an incredible way to kind of recoup some of the cost of your project. In terms of an independent artist, it can give you huge profits instantly, okay, and make you popular. Okay, so it's a really, really great thing. Netflix right now, I'm sure you've all heard of it, and I'm sure you all use it. Netflix is just fantastic. There is so much content on Netflix, and every single one of those shows needs music. Well, how do I get my music on Netflix? Well, often when you use distributors, there are services that you can tick a box for, which include them pitching your music for shows that are likely to be on Netflix, to advertising companies, production companies that use music in games, that use music for all sorts of things, for apps, for, you know, for products, all sorts of stuff. And, you know, I mean, literally, it's quite limitless. It's only limited by our imagination. So this is a way we can recoup costs. Now, thankfully, in the last 5 years, the industry has seen a huge increase of money again, because in the old days, in the traditional model, they were selling physical things, CDs, vinyl, etc. And this actually had huge profit margins. So they were earning lots of money. Now, nowadays, music's free. Yeah. Who pays for music anymore? Okay, I pay for a subscription. I actually buy tracks one by one. I'm very unusual music selector because I'm a producer and a DJ, and so I buy a lot of music, okay? But most of you probably don't. Most of you probably just check out stuff on YouTube or listen to it on a social platform, listen to the adverts, and the rest of you will subscribe, okay? So this is great. So for the first time in the last decade, for the last 3-4 years, the music industry has just seen such a huge growth of income from streaming. And so what I want to show you now is I want to demonstrate some examples of some popular artists and some independent artists, and of no particular preference. It's not my musical taste. I just kind of picked a few. I focused, because this is with the IMI, okay, the Institute for Musical Initiative. I have chosen some Russian artists, but let's just have a look and go through. So let's look at pop first, like the commercial industry and pop. Okay, I've chosen Justin Timberlake because he's old school, okay, but he's got 24, practically 25 million monthly listeners. So this is one platform. This is Spotify. Spotify pay on average 0.003 of a dollar, okay, per stream. 0.003 of a dollar. It's nothing. It's just dust, okay? So, but a lot of that dust builds together and becomes gold, because 24.8 million monthly listeners. Justin Timberlake, just on Spotify, receives $75,000 per month. That's $893,000 per year, okay? And that's just from Spotify. Think about it. If he's got those numbers on Spotify, he's got the same numbers on YouTube. He's probably got half those numbers on Amazon. He's probably got the same numbers on Deezer. He's probably got similar numbers on VK. All of them are generating that kind of money and sending that monthly. Well, it doesn't get paid monthly. It will get paid probably every half year. But that's big business. That's really big business, guys. Okay, so let's look at the next example. Filatov and Karas. Filatov and Karas are kind of a big dance export from Russia. They've got multiple platinum records, loads of awards. They're not as popular as Justin Timberlake, surprise, surprise, but 1.8 million monthly listeners. And for that, just on Spotify, they earn, $5,500. So that's $67,000, $68,000 a year. That's just from Spotify. Now, if we're looking at Russian market, look at VK's paying them. Mail.ru's paying them. Zvuk, which is actually integrated in there. It's paying Yandex Music. Okay. Then YouTube, where they've definitely got videos rotating the same kind of numbers. Okay. So add all of that together, you're probably looking at 3 times that per month in dollars. So then look at Morgenstern. For those of you who are not Russian, Morgenstern is a Russian artist, but actually first Russian artist to be signed to Warner US. So this is quite an important moment for Russian pop industry, actually. So he's got 2.6 million monthly listeners. It's $8,000 per month, 96,000 a year. Thank you very much. This is really good business, and this is just from Spotify. Like I said, Amazon, YouTube, Yandex, VK, they're all going to have similar numbers. And let's not forget about TikTok. All right, TikTok's going to be banging these numbers as well. So add all of this together, and you realize, well, this is a lot of money. Okay, but stop. They have to pay a percentage to their record labels. They have to pay percentage, potentially, maybe not all of them, but Justin Timberlake for sure, and Morgenstern, they're going to be paying like 20% out to management. They're going to be paying for creative teams. They're not going to see all of this money. I mean, Justin Timberlake's going to have to pay for his dog walker. He's going to have to pay for everything. Like, so many people around him that are getting paid every day. So just remember that the more you earn, the more you have to pay out. Okay, but it's quite incredible to start looking at these numbers and understand this is one platform, and when all the other platforms come together, is multiplied. So let's have a look at the independent, and I've chosen Russian artists for the independent. Let's have a look. We've got Manizha. I'm sure you know who Manizha is, the Russian crew amongst you. So she's nearly at 1 million monthly listeners. So it's 894, and that's $2,500. So that's $32,000 a year. Now, I want to say something in particular for the Russian market. Spotify is relatively new for the Russian market, and this was only made massively public a year ago here. Of course, people were using it before, but there's still this period of time now where Russian artists are starting to catch up and use this more. So I don't want you to look at these figures and be too disappointed, because in a Russian market, they're definitely streaming 2 or 3 times these numbers on VK and Yandex Music, definitely. And their YouTube channels are usually streaming really well. So let's just use this as an indicator of understanding, okay, on Spotify it's this, but we can probably double that on some other channels and then add that together, and we'll get a closer understanding of what they're earning per month just from streaming, There's another thing, guys. We've been looking just at streaming. They've got live music, which obviously in the time of COVID is a little bit tricky, but it is still occurring. We've also got licensing, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, which is the use of music on film, on advertising, in any kind of situation where it's being synchronized to anything visual. Okay, these pay fees. Okay, so back to Manizha. So it's 2.6. If we look further down, we've got Euro. Okay, Euro is from Grupa Grubi. He's not so active at the moment, but I wanted to use him as an example just so you could see, like, okay, for most of us, if we were looking at it, we go, oh, 15,000 streams a month on Spotify for a new artist, that's not so bad. Well, sadly, it's $45. Okay, it's not so great either. It's like $45, right? Okay, so, but again, I will stress this very clearly. VK, YouTube, Yandex, this is where they're streaming much, much more. And you can easily understand that even these people here are earning 5, 6, 10 times that from other services. Okay, so we'll go down to the last one. Is Grechka, not so active at the moment again, but we've got 280,000 monthly listeners. That's $841 per month. If we look at economies of scale, etc., as a new artist, if you understand, you can get to a situation where you're earning 500,000 monthly listeners. You have 500,000 monthly listeners. You know, you are going to be looking at approximately $1.5 thousand per month. Now, Okay, as a new artist, that's from one platform. Now, if you can do 500,000 streams per month on multiple platforms, you're in quite a good place as an independent artist. That's going to equal a few $1,000s every month as an income. Now, that's quite exciting for a new artist. That means you can actually focus on what you need to do and invest in what you need to do. And by investing in those things, by investing in that PR, in that promotion, in that marketing, you then start to get more streams and you start to reap more rewards, which raises your status even more. But like I said, this is a slow path, okay? It's going to take you somewhere in the region of 18 months to 2 years. And that will be through you organically communicating with other artists within your niche, within your genre, building opportunities, live performance, radio performance opportunities. You can do this organically, okay, without having to pay for that. You can do it, and I know it's possible. So it is possible. Okay, so this is one of the most important things that I really want you guys to take away from this talk today. And it's managing expectations. And these are the realities that we face. We have dreams, we have desires and ambition, and you must have. But you must also have a plan. And your plan should be to do what you do and not care about anything else or anyone else or what anyone says. You need to quickly get to the point where you understand that your music is good. Okay, the quality of what you do is good. Okay, some records are better than others. That's life, of course they are. But you need to mentally get to this place where you understand it's good. I don't want any of you ever to play a record to someone in the music industry or a friend or a colleague and say, yeah, I've got this track, but maybe the vocal's not right and I need to do that. And, we didn't mix it yet. And what? Never, ever, ever, ever do this. Okay, because you need to be confident. You need to just know, play this. Yeah, that's my latest record. Okay, that's it. And on one part of your mind, you need to just like lock a door and say, okay, what you're going to say to me is important. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to listen and I'm going to digest that information. But the other part of my brain is already on the next record. Okay, because you finished that. And everything that we do as creators is a learning process. Every single record that we make, okay? Every single song that we write, every single production trick that we do, we learn something new. And we then put that into our next project and we learn another thing, okay? And our music will get better. But you must know that when you finish that record, that's it, it's ready, it's done. Next one. You need to flick a switch and go next. Okay, and it doesn't matter what happens with that record, your mind is already on the next record. You're already there. Okay, so how do we do this? We do this by expecting nothing. Okay, I don't care if you don't get streams. You need to get like this. You need to go, I don't care if no one reposts me. I don't care if no one gives me any streams. I don't care, because at first you cannot expect there to be. All right, unless you're going to sit there and spend loads of money on marketing, how can you expect there to be loads of streams? You just can't. How can you expect there to be it when you don't have a huge social network already? You can't. So don't expect it. Just don't. Just have your plan. What is your plan? Well, I can tell you that a really good strategy for being a new independent artist is to release a record once a month. And if you, at minimum, every 6 weeks, but I would even recommend that you do once a month and another piece of content, maybe an acoustic thing, maybe a remix, maybe a cover, but one record a month with artwork, with content. And do not stop. Do not stop, not ever, okay? Because what happens is you release this music and you also, from your database that you created earlier, you send it to all the professionals that you know and the other tastemakers, radio DJs, people who are likely to support you, other artists, other producers. And at first they listen. At first they get your email and they go, and they don't pay any attention to it. And then, you know, second one, maybe don't pay any attention to it. Third one, that someone else goes, oh, did you hear that track by so-and-so? It's really good. And they go, oh yeah, I heard the name. Okay. Next one comes to the inbox and they go, oh, that's the same name as the person that they were talking about. Okay, oh, I better download it. I better listen. Okay. And then the next one comes and they go, oh, I like that. And then they go, oh, well, now I like that. And I listen to the other one and I like those as well. Okay. And you start to build this momentum effect that it gets to a point that people can no longer ignore you. It's called quality and frequency. Okay. You need to have quality and you need to have frequency. The frequency is how regular you're going to release your work. All right. So you need to stick to this. This is your plan. You do not break your plan for anybody. Okay. Only for yourself. Okay. Only in some situations you might not be able to make a month. Okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. It doesn't matter. Just the next one and the next one and the next one. Okay. So this is really, really important. And trust me, from experience of artists that I've worked with, and I've worked with major label artists, independent artists, my job has been helping artists to find their sound and helping to position them into the market. You know, this is how it's done. And you can see it. You can see this trajectory of the artists that you respect and like. You can see it. It's visual. It's right in front of you. Okay. It's frequency, consistency. Okay. But you must have your aesthetic right. You must have your music right. Okay. Once you've got that, you go. You plan and you go. So this is my best advice. Expect nothing. Do not deviate from your plan. Your plan is to reach point X. Okay. Superstardom, or to do your tour, or I don't know. You decide what that goal is. It's very important. You must decide what that is. No one can tell you that it's not realistic. Only you. Okay. Because everything is possible, but you must work out how you get there, how frequently you need to release, and what kind of content you need to release to achieve that. Okay. So do not try and trick the audience. I spoke about this a little bit earlier, touched on it by saying that the music industry can very quickly check your profiles, socials. There is a website called chartmetric.com. It is a data service. You can sign up to it for free and have your own account, and you can add in your account artists that you like, and you can see how their socials run. Now, the great thing about this is they can see very quickly where the main demographic of your audience is, when it was created, how many people arrived on what days and when and why and how. And this makes it very, very easy for them to understand whether you've paid for your fans. And buying your audience is a waste of time and money. And I really recommend that you never, ever do it. It's so easy to be tricked because there are so many people that contact you nowadays and say, hey, why don't you come to us, DM us, and we'll put you on 150 playlists across here and we'll do that. Or we'll boost your Instagram and you'll have real followers, real quality. Please don't do this. Please, please, please don't do this, because you're only tricking yourself. More importantly, the industry can see this really easily. Build your audience by communicating. It's not hard to do. Do you know what? You've only got to go through a stream and just put a little like emoji on certain people's page and go like this, you know, like it's amazing, this. Okay. That's all you've got to do on people's posts for them to start following you back, start liking something that you do, start communicating, start building relationships. Yes, it takes time, but you're going to do this in parallel to your release plan. And your release plan is step by step by step by step higher, and your social will grow with it. So please, please expect nothing. Do not expect you're going to make a record and it's suddenly going to be a hit. Okay. So let's talk about this stuff, because the music industry, in all honesty, is the entertainment industry, and it's all smoke and mirrors. Okay. A lot of things that we see and a lot of things that we think are real are actually illusion. So I need a hit record, then I will be big. No, you don't. No, you don't. And what is a hit record? Okay. Who decides what a hit record is? Well, actually, what I would say about people in general in the whole world is they're not stupid. They're insecure. And I'm talking about mass audiences. Okay. They're insecure. They like to be told something is great and big, and they need people to approve it and assure it to them, and then they follow. Okay. So nobody, not even a record label, can predict a hit record. They can only do it after the point that you've had several successful records and they know the audience is ready to absorb it fast. Okay. And that's when hits are born. We can have one-hit wonders. And this is also based on the fact that those records are often radically different and gimmicky and not really the most credible music or cool music. They're often things that are a bit like, like a Baby Shark or something like this. Or they are records that have been tailor-made by the music industry to fit a definite market. Okay, but what you need is you need consistency, you need quality, you need to build yourself again and again and again, prove yourself just to deliver quality. And it doesn't matter if it's throwaway pop or, you know, I don't hip hop, whatever. It doesn't matter what the genre is. You need to become the master of your craft. This is the most important thing. Okay, another big myth. I need a killer music video to explode onto the scene. Well, no, you don't. This is actually one of the biggest mistakes you can make because you don't have an audience. All right. So who's going to watch your video? And I see artist after artist try to save money on production and music creation to then spend a lot of money, several £1,000s, or in Russian terms, maybe 500,000 rubles, up to 1 million rubles on a clip, on a video clip for, you know, YouTube and to premiere it and all this kind of stuff. And they release it and they've spent all this money on the video, but they didn't spend the money on marketing. And the video's great, maybe, but to be honest, often they're not good. Okay. And they didn't market it, because they spent all their money on the bloody video and they didn't actually invest in marketing. So this is a big no. Please, please, please don't fall into this trap that you need a killer music video. To be honest, you don't. You need something that is aesthetically cool. You could actually make it on your telephone yourself. You could actually animate graphics yourself and make 15 seconds to 30-second clips that could be stories, that could be posts that you post regularly just to generate hype around music. And this will drive people to your streams to stream your music, okay? And it will cost you a fraction of making an expensive video, and it will be more beneficial for you, okay? There will become a time when you understand you have a big enough audience in your social network to warrant a music video that is going to cost you several thousands of dollars. Okay, so please, please, please have more of a creative, more DIY attitude at the beginning, all right, and build to this point where your video is. Okay, otherwise you could be in for a real shock, because having that kind of release, when you release a music video that you've paid a lot of money in, and you go to YouTube and there's like 100 views or something, even less, and, you know, tumbleweed kind of blows past. This is going to kill you. This is going to destroy your ambition. You know, this is a real anticlimax. And this is why you need to have this attitude of expect nothing. All right. Because if you do this, this is a surefire way to really make you give up music fast. Okay. You don't need to do this. So I'm going to move on, because I could obviously talk about this for a while. So the music industry is untouchable and I cannot access it. This is just not true. We just think that it's so special to us and that we're not worthy of it. Okay. And that, you know, because we build this barrier, we build this resistance, we build this resistance that of fear that we don't want to be rejected by a record label that we would love to be with. Well, do you know what? You need to do it. You need to get rejected. I'm just being honest with you. You need to do it. And rejection doesn't mean that they won't listen to your work again. It means that they just didn't like that record. More importantly, it's better to try to understand that the music industry is absolutely not untouchable. Without music, they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing. And you are the music creators of today. You are the people making the music. They need you. They need you so badly. Okay, they need your creativity. To them, your creativity is valuable. You are important. Okay, with social networks now, it is more easy than ever in my lifetime, at least, to find the contact detail for an A&R and contact them directly. If you guys are not using LinkedIn, I recommend you use it, because LinkedIn has a great access to A&R, and most A&R are on it because the industry communicates via it as well. Facebook for contacts, it's also possible to find people. Twitter, also really possible to find everyone that you need. Okay, people want to hear from you. You're interesting. You create the music. Don't forget this. Okay, without you, there is no music industry. Simple. My music must sound like someone else to be successful. This is a really dangerous area. Okay, nobody, including you, wants to hear a copy of another artist. Fact. Okay, we are very prone to falling into these traps where we feel we have to do something as creators to be accepted. Please, please do not do this. The most important thing that you should be is authentically you. The people and the artists that you truly respect and you truly like, they are unique. No one else sounds like them. And the ones that did try to sound like them changed their style or disappeared from the music industry. Okay? No label wants a copy of another artist. No label. No, you know, unfortunately, this also comes down to the fact that people can release music without any quality control. And we can release stuff just from our laptops without anyone saying yes or no. We can just release it across the world. So unfortunately, there is a lot of music in several genres that sounds a bit like someone else, but it's not really successful music, is it? Let's be honest, it's not. It's just bad copies of the people who are really successful. And those really successful people are unique. Please, 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 please be unique, please. Another one, an unsigned artist put a record online, it became viral overnight, and now they're a star. Okay, to be honest, this just does not happen, okay? We all read stories. Where do we read the stories? We read the stories in blogs, in newspapers, in media outlets. These stories have been placed there. By who? By PR. It's a story, right? It's a story to get you interested in something that you would never normally be interested in, okay? This is smoke and mirrors, okay? It is unlikely, improbable that you can possibly plan your career based on the idea that you put your music on the internet and overnight it's going to be massive. I'm going to make a video, going to upload it, it's going to be massive. If you really think like that, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because you need to manage your expectations, okay? Because the reality is, life just doesn't work like that. There are teams of people behind these records that suddenly blow up and appear to be overnight successes. There's whole strategies and marketing campaigns, radio plugging, and all sorts of things that are generated to position this record for one purpose only. To do what? To break the artist and generate money. It's as simple as that. Now, there is always a nice little story that you hear, and usually it's like your mum or your dad sends you a clipping from a newspaper or an article that they found. Oh, new artist just placed a record, it's #1 in iTunes. Yeah, really? Right? No, it's really been done through a whole structured strategy. Okay, absolutely be done by this. Okay, so please be aware of that. Please get real. Get real. Understand that there is a business around everything. The business is not there to scare you. The business is there to help you. All right. Once you understand it exists, once you understand how you can access it and use it, then you're in control of your future. Okay. So we kind of got to the end of the lecture right now. Okay. And soon we're going to be doing some questions and answers. But just to kind of summarize, you can do it. I really hope that you feel from what I've said today that you can do this. All right. The music industry is in a situation right now where it's never been so easy to actually establish yourself. At the same time, it feels overwhelming and frustrating. But you've just got to start. You've just got to plan. There's never been more opportunity in the music industry. As I said at the beginning, 5.2 billion pounds it generates for the UK. In America, 12.5 billion. These are huge sums of money. They're massive industries, whether you want to work in recording, production, live, television, soundtracks, cinema. There's so much exciting stuff that you can be part of, okay, and build really exciting, fulfilling careers. But let's just recap and kind of understand that nobody got anywhere in the music industry without hard work. Fact. What I've gone through with you today shows that you, as an independent artist, you need to work. Music is absolutely what you have to do. Okay, you have to have that. Without that, you're in the wrong industry. Okay, music, it's the prerequisite. It's the absolute base of what you do. Okay, so after that, it comes hard work, because you have to work hard and you have to network and you have to do all of these things. You have to build these databases. You have to contact people. You have to branch out. You can't just sit by yourself. And after that comes a stroke of luck, because we all need some luck. But I will tell you for a fact, luck and opportunity come hand in hand together with hard work. All right? You build your own luck. You build opportunities by working hard and putting the effort in. So you need to have quality. You need to be consistent, which means you always need to have the same level of quality in every aspect of your career. And you need to decide your frequency of how you're going to release, how you're going to operate as a business, because you are a business. Only when your business is interesting to other people around you are they going to take you seriously and go, oh, you can come and join us now. Okay, we want to sign you. We want to work with you. We want to promote you, because you need to prove to them that you're worth them investing their time and money to you. So just kind of moving forwards, I'd just like to say a big thank you for listening. All right. And we're going to now do some questions and answers. And I've been sent some questions and answers on my chat here. So I'm going to go through. Some of these will be from the live chat now, and some of them will be submitted earlier. Okay. So the first one: should not very popular artists fight the sites on which their music is placed for free download? Or does it only help to spread it, given that people there get to know it for the first time? Okay, so it's quite a long question, but I'll try and say it. So what the person is asking is that do I think that very popular artists, so for new artists, so should not very popular artists fight sites which their music is placed on for free download? I actually think no, and I'll explain why. At first, you're not really going to make a lot of money from streaming. We looked at the example of Euro. If I go back a bit, I think I can flick back. Okay, here we go. If I flick back and we go to this one, I've gone too fast. Wow. Okay, flashed by. Here we go. Right, so look, if we look at this here and we say like 15,000 streams, a lot of new artists will be lucky to get that, but that's only $45. So you have to understand, your music at this stage of your career is not about generating money. It's about generating profile. And so, the person who asked this question said, or does it only help to spread it? Well, yeah, it does. This is the point. Piracy is a real terrible thing. And look, I'm not going to promote piracy because, you know, the truth is you work, you make your music, and your music should have value and you should be paid for it. But culture has changed so much, you know. It's very difficult to tell someone who has only accessed music through the internet, through free accounts on Spotify and on YouTube and wherever, that they should now pay for music. All right, they don't need to. They can still just go to YouTube and listen to it for free. All right, so the truth is your loyal fans will pay, and subscription services will pay you money. All right, but to have it everywhere on sites where they can download it for free, I don't really see a problem with this. Your first goal is about building your status, building your profile. So this is my opinion. Now, everyone's opinions can be slightly different, but there are several projects, and maybe this is also a good idea for some of you that make, for example, electronic music or hip hop, even rock music, right? It doesn't matter. Some artists do something else, and you don't have to be big for this. You just need to have a fan base, all right? Some artists make the stems or the parts of their records available for remixing. Now, this, what's going to happen? Well, every kind of DJ producer, every kind of budding producer at home that likes your music or sees your promotion or your advert for remixing a track can download all of the parts for free and remix them. Now, they don't own that remix because it's your work. It's your intellectual property. No one can own it. Only you can own it. But suddenly, loads of remixes are made, okay? And they are posted on all different sites, all different socials, all at the same time, all generating potentially traffic to your streams and potentially traffic to your socials. So again, this is something that you could actually manufacture and implement yourself. Is when you do a release, you make the parts of your track available for remixing. And you'll be surprised. People will remix it. You know, it'll be on SoundCloud. It will be on people's Bandcamp. It will be all over the place. Well, cool. If that happens, cool. Why not? You're spreading your music. You're taking your brand to a bigger audience. And what did it cost you? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, okay. The next question: how to stay motivated? What daily exercises can I do? Well, motivation, that's a really tricky one because everybody's different. All right. What daily exercises can I do? I think some of the best things you can do is actually not maybe daily, but when you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling not motivated or not musically creative, or you have what people call writer's block, okay, I would recommend that you set yourself some tasks, okay? And these tasks can be really, really simple and you're in control of it. But just imagine you set yourself 3-4 hours. You say, right, in 4 hours, I'm going to write 4 ideas of a track, okay? And you set yourself exactly 1 hour for each. And you do it. You sit down and you write. And it doesn't matter what you write, but when the hour comes up, you stop and you open up a new project and you work in that. If you're sitting on guitar or piano and you're writing like that, you stop the song that you're writing and you start something completely different. You change your key. You think about it in a different way. Another way to start keeping motivated musically is play with BPMs. Often, many of us who write music will write music in a definite range of BPM. Trying to do new music in a different BPM, different range of BPMs, can really be inspirational. It might not lead you to actually writing a new hit in a style that you like, but it might clear your head and it might make you think, okay, cool, I've actually got through some stuff that I was struggling with and I can come back to my own project, okay? So I think that's quite a good way of kind of getting yourself out of a bit of a creative rut. Another thing, if you're stuck writing melodies or vocals, a trick that I use quite a lot is to sing the vocal melody of another record on top of the record that you're writing. Okay, so literally you just sing it on top. Okay, don't try and take it from the record and put it on top, because it won't be in the right key, it won't be the right speed, won't be anything like that. Just sing it on top. And one of the records that I used to do that is actually a DJ Fresh record, old one, Hot Right Now. And the reason I use that is because it's got very bouncy intervals of melodies. I'm very bad at singing, but, you know, oh, you're on in when it hot right now, turn it up right now. So that's why I'm not a singer, by the way. Okay, so this for me is a really good one, because you can just sing this on top of any track that you're working on, and suddenly you hear how these intervals work on your backing music, and the speed of the lyrics, it will change massively. Okay, and this can really make your head go into a completely new place, and a completely new way of thinking about how you attack your vocal melody for a record. Another thing that's really common and really old and really tried and tested is to just think carefully about the way your vocal scans and the speed of your vocals. For example, if you've got a really rapid chorus with fast lyrics, like, you know, just going rapid on 16s of your chorus, then obviously your verse will probably want to be long, drawn out, and less vocals, more space around vocals. And the same is said the opposite way around. So you'll have quite rapid or spaced out vocals in a verse, and very long, drawn out lyrics and melodies in the chorus. So these are ways that you can fix a number of creative problems. Exercising. There is a really good book if you are a songwriter, and especially if you want to exercise working on lyrics. There's a book called Writing Better Lyrics, actually. so and in there are several tasks that you can do daily, and it's more of like a thought diary, where you really exercise your creative writing and your thought process, and you put it down on paper. So I really recommend you look at that. There's a book called Writing Better Lyrics. I'll ask IMI to put it at the bottom of the video when this is posted on YouTube, so you guys can grab the link. All right. So I'm just going to have a look at the next question. The next question is, how can I work with Orchard or Believe if I'm not popular enough? Well, I kind of touched upon this. There is a point where I have to say you can't, but that's not entirely true. You need to think about your plan. And this comes back to a new artist you need to be releasing, okay? Orchard and Believed are well-established distributors. They both act as label services companies. Now, Believe is a label services company, and they will not work with you unless they see great value in what you do. Orchard is a distributor, and Orchard will distribute you, but they will probably not offer you label services until they see you're at a point where they can invest in you and use their resources. So, you know, there is a time for everything. And I think this is a reality. Don't focus on Believe and Orchard. Focus on your plan. You need to focus on releasing frequently, consistently good products, visually and sonically. And visually, I'm not talking about making music videos. This can really be a huge waste of your resources, but you need supporting content. You need these 15-second stories clips. You need 15 to 30-second posts, little holding music videos, lyricy things, animated logos. You need this stuff, okay? So it's better you focus your money and your attention to creating really good visual content, nice photos, nice artwork, and great music, and release frequently. You need to be releasing like every 6 weeks minimum, absolutely minimum. Okay, and definitely once a month, definitely once a month. And once you reach this threshold of your audience resonating with your music, okay, you need to resonate with the right audience. Once this occurs, you'll have no trouble talking to Orchard and Believe, you'll have no trouble at all, because you'll have radio plays, you'll have inclusions in playlists, you'll have articles written about you in several blogs and maybe industry journals. These things will start to happen, and they'll happen naturally. And once these start to happen, and once you can start to say to a company like Believe or Orchard, I've got this single that's planned to come out in 1 month's time, and this one in 2 months, 3 months, and then an album, and we've arranged these gigs and like these shows, this tour is happening, and we're going to use this radio station to do a live show, and we're having a launch party here. Once you can tell that plan to Orchard or Believe, they're going to be ready to work with you. Simple as that. You will be ready. Okay, so just focus on your plan. And I really hope that some of the things we've discussed today, although it's been a very short time, I really hope that some of those things today will help you think and help you gear yourself towards building your plan, okay? Because it's really important. Okay, next question. How working with Russian artists is different from working with everyone else? Oh, is this? Wow, okay. How working with Russian artists is different from working with everybody else. Is it? I'm not sure it's so different from working with everyone else, but I think there are some international differences, especially when we start to talk about how music is credited and how split made when music is work. If we're talking about myself as a producer, or yourselves as producers or artists, songwriters, things are changing in Russia fast. And I know there are other listeners from around the world, but let's talk a little bit about the Russian market. Earlier, sadly, royalties for rotation and plays and performance and broadcast were very poorly distributed. And this, thankfully, is changing and has changed phenomenally. And the presence of companies like are making huge difference to Russian artists, because they can really see how much they're streaming. It's completely transparent, and this money will be paid to them. We looked at some things earlier in this, and those artists are receiving that kind of money from Spotify. So, I mean, that's transparent. It's clear. It's not a trick. It's the same as a Western artist will be paid. Now, more importantly, in older times, because royalties for broadcast and for publishing were not paid out very well, people who worked on music, producers, writers, engineers, vocalists, session musicians, they would usually just agree a fee for their work, and they would accept that when they receive that fee, they'll never get any more money from the project. Okay, it's just a fee, and that's what I work for. Now, in the West, things work differently. Of course, there is just fee-based work. Of course, there is. But more common than not, there are lower fees or no fees, and you have a percentage of royalty or intellectual property of author rights for your involvement in the project. And because the project rotates on radio and is used on television and is performed and broadcast, you will receive money from collection societies. Now, obviously, until recently, that wasn't working very well in Russia at all. So this is a really big mindset that is starting to change. Now, I can tell you in the last 10 years of working in Russia, it's only the last few years of my career in Russia that really artists are conscious about giving things like producer points, which is a percentage of artist royalty for producers working on a track, to offer producers splits on publishing rights of actually for arrangement work and all this kind of thing. Now, earlier that didn't occur, and that's okay on one level, but on another level, that's not really very good, because the artist receives everything and grows, and the technical people who add huge amounts of creativity and technical knowledge and skill to projects don't financially grow. And this is quite a negative thing, because you can't stay not earning money. So this is a reality that's changing. So I think that's one view of how Russians artists differ from Western artists. But I would say quite gladly that this is changing and has changed considerably. And the new generation are far more knowledgeable about all of this as well. And the systems in Russia are changing radically to be able to deliver things correctly. Now, I'm not going to start talking about like national differences between Russians and the rest of the world, because I don't think there's any space for that, really. I really enjoy working with the artists that I've worked with, and it's just been incredible fun and incredible joy to work with many of them. But the business side of things over years has improved and improved and improved. And I hope it just keeps on improving, because that's really the most important thing, the biggest changes that are occurring. So let's have a look. Number 5, how to get gigs as a DJ. Right, this is a tricky one. If we're looking internationally and in Russia, you as a DJ, it's kind of a really difficult time right now. We have two schools of thought here. As a DJ, you need to not just play the top 100 hits from Beatport. You need to be a selector. You need to really know music inside out. The point of a DJ is to play an audience music that they never realized they wanted to hear. Okay, that's really the point of a DJ. And the point of a DJ is to put it and to deliver it to an audience so that they readily accept it and want to have an emotional response to it. So your technical ability and your track selection ability is the most important thing as a DJ. Now, after that, there are some things that are becoming more and more relevant. To become more popular as a DJ, you need to be making regular mixes. You need to be very deep within your genre and feature on radio shows and podcasts. And you also need to probably start making the music that you really love. It's not essential. Not every DJ makes music, so it's not essential. But for those of you that kind of have these visions of being stadium DJs and large format club DJs, then this is a more common reality, that you probably need to start working on production and start producing the music that you play. The good point about this is it's a niche genre. You can build community really well. You will develop relationships with this. Through this, you will be offered gigs by promoters that follow certain labels. You'll get signed to small independent labels. It becomes quite a natural evolution and process. There is no surefire guaranteed way of getting gigs. You need to be proactive. You need to create some mixes. You need to create good socials that aesthetically look cool and right for your music. And you need to go and speak to promoters. You need to contact them. You need to understand your niche. There is also another thing that's quite interesting. It's a service. It's called GigMit. GigMit. It's a German service, but it operates across the whole of Europe and worldwide. And they have a subscription service where they supply artists, bands, and DJs to festivals and private shows and clubs. You pay a subscription and they guarantee a minimum amount of performances for you. They will cover flights, travel, your rider, your technical rider, and a fee for your show. So that's called GigMit. Now, we are in 2021, and unfortunately, we're in the middle of global COVID. So this is a little bit of a difficult thing right now. But I will tell you a fact. In a time where there is turmoil or recession, or a time where things are dwindling or becoming difficult to act in, this is always the best time to build something new. And if you're approaching a career as a DJ, this is a great time to build your style, build your sets, know your music inside out, be original with it, and start approaching promoters, clubs, labels. Start learning production techniques, start learning how to make the music. If you can't do it yourself, start communicating with other people who can help you do it. Maybe you work with them and it's collaboration. Maybe you employ someone as a ghostwriter. A ghostwriter is someone that makes the music for you, but no one will ever know. They'll only think it's you. So there are lots and lots of options, but this is a really good time to invest in yourself educationally, to progress. Okay, so I've got a question here. My main musical inspirations. Oh my word. What are my main musical inspirations? Well, I wasn't expecting a question like that. So I love UK garage. And for those people who know me, I love electronic music. I love lots and lots of different types of music. I couldn't possibly start to name everybody, but I find a colleague of mine and someone I've met several times and actually had the honor of remixing, an artist called MJ Cole. I really find him quite inspirational musically. I always have done since I got into garage music in the mid-90s. And, you know, he's highly prolific, highly talented, and the music's amazing. You know, it's so varied. So I really love that. For me, I also love lots of different music. So I'm very much like neck deep in electronic music and new music and anything that I can feed into pop. But I really love classic rock, like Jimi Hendrix. I absolutely love it, to be honest with you. I love the Doors. I love Led Zeppelin. So these are a few old acts that I really, really love. There's so much stuff. The list would be so big, but really, I don't have this kind of thing. My main musical inspiration. I don't really have that. I find so much inspires me. I find inspiration for my music in my surrounding environment. I really like feeding off the energy of a city, the people in a city, running through the metro or the underground. Like can be the biggest inspiration for me. I'm not one of these musicians that kind of feels I need to travel a long way to get inspired. Yeah, and you know, I don't have this kind of artist that is just I feel are just innately my inspiration, you know, like a Stevie Wonder or something. I'm not like that. I love so many different things. So I'm sorry I can't be more precise with that, but I'd be lying to you if I told you that I had one main musical inspiration. But if we were to say like a music style, I find the latest music, the newest, the pop. I love the mechanics of music. I love how a song works. Like, why does it work? Why does the chorus explode like that? How? What's happening in the mix? Why does the arrangement do that at that time? What's its effect? I love these mechanics. This is what excites me every day. Every time I hear something, I'm like, oh, wow, cool. Why did they do that? Analyze how they did it. This is what I find exciting. It's that kind of reverse engineering of music. This is inspirational to me. And, you know, people who are the masters of their craft, regardless of what genre, you know, I can quite happily, hand on my heart, say that I respect the people behind the music of Justin Bieber. I don't sit listening to Justin Bieber, but yeah, I got to sit there and tell you that the level of quality and the craftsmanship of this music is at the highest level. And it's the highest level of songwriting as well, you know, but at the same time, I love deeply underground music and alternative music. So this is about mechanics. This is real inspiration for me, real. Okay, so we're coming up to the last question, and I see that we've gone way over the hour. So I'm just going to read the last question. What do I think about the artists who release a single every month, not albums, just singles? Well, it's an interesting question. And I actually think that in the environment that we're in, this is actually a really important thing to do, especially as a new artist. Don't get me wrong. albums are massively important bodies of work. And there is a time where everyone feels they should make a body of work, an album, and really promote themselves. But what I would say is this comes down to this whole point of marketing yourself within the genre that you want to enter into. Like I said, there is so much competition. There are thousands of records being released every day, okay? And you need to be relevant. You're not an established act from earlier times in the music industry. So you need to release frequently so that your promotional campaigns become, generate momentum. Okay, they generate momentum. If you release a record, let's say you release an EP, 4-track EP, okay? Your audience is going to become bored with you promoting that EP for 4 months, one for each track on the EP, because the artwork will be the same. When they go to it, they'll find the whole EP and listen to the whole EP anyway. So when they get to next week, they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, it's promoting that track, but I already heard that track. And then the track comes on the third month, it's like, oh, yeah, I'll check that, and I'll go and check that. Oh, but then there's the tracks that I've already listened to, and the artwork's the same, everything's the same. I'm not saying you can't do this. You should do it. But you should recognize that your audience, food, like music right now is like fast food, right? It's like a burgers. It's just like hum, yeah, it's just gone, you know? Like, are people really like attentively listening to your music? No, like a portion of your audience is, of course, they're your loyal fans, but most people, they play it, they add it to their playlist, and they don't know when they hear it again. It will just be like on random in their library, and when they're cooking in their kitchen or something, it will just come on in the background, okay? This is like passive audience, and this is a large percentage of most people's audience, right? So the rest of the audience that you want to grow and build, and the people that you want to attract, you need what we call promotional points, okay? And by releasing an album, which costs a lot of money and takes a lot of time to do, right? You're actually wasting an opportunity. You might as well make all of that music and make 12 different pieces of artwork for that album and then release it for 12 months. That's your year of releasing done, okay? And every single record is going to promote the next one because your marketing campaign will continue. How long do you promote a record for? Do you promote it just for the month until the next one? No. You need to keep on promoting it. Okay, you might change your budget. Your budget might be lower, but you keep on promoting it. And then your next record comes out and you promote that one. And if you set up a cool system, there are several, like a fan gate where they go and get your record, and then MailChimp sends them a thank you and a link to a track. MailChimp can send them your previous record. And because they've got your first record, they're likely to want your previous record. And you imagine when you're on track 6, you're sending emails. You're sending like 6 emails to new audience in automated time. Every 3 days, they'll get a new email with a new track. And this makes you start to seem like you're serious and that you're quite a big artist that has got a lot of music. And these are promotional points that you can market to bloggers, to radio. How many times can you market the same album to a blogger, to a radio station? Once, yeah, because after that they don't want to hear about it again. They've decided, yeah, I like the album, don't like the album. They don't want to hear about it 3 months later. But if you send them one single, they might go, oh, well, don't really like that single. Next month, next single, they go, okay, they sent me something last month, I didn't like that, but I'll check this. Okay, yeah, cool, that could work. Okay, and you're giving yourself more chance of actually being accepted. You have 12 attacks, not just one. If we're looking at albums, all right? EP, you have 4 tracks instead of just one EP that you're going to promote. So this seems like, oh man, I really want to do an album. I really want to do this thing. But at the beginning of your career, that's not the right time to do your album. Your album is when you have an audience and you understand that audience and you understand that you've got, as an artist, you've got a real message that you want to share with them. You really want to say something, okay? Because that's really what a body of work is, a body of work. It should be something exciting, not just 12 tracks you wrote put together, okay? So like, I really know that if you want to propel your career as an independent artist and grow in a very nice trajectory, you need to be providing new content every month. And it's not as easy as you think. It's really not. So you need to be prepared. You need to have your plan. You need to delete all expectations. You need to just not care what anyone else thinks. Stick to your plan and do it again and again and again and again. And it will start to resonate. And everything will start to fall in line and work for you. But it will take time. You're looking at 18 months. 18 months. Okay, it can be quicker. Of course it can be. It can also be longer. So just build your expectations around a definite thing. Don't be surprised that it takes that long. Because like I said to you, if you wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer, or anything high up and be great at that, you'd have to work for many, many more years than that. Many more years. Music is no different. You need to put the work in. You can do it. I know you can. All right. So I'd like to thank you all for spending this time with me and the questions. They were interesting. Great. And I hope they've been interesting for you. If you would like more advice from me or to contact me, or you need some consulting or anything like that, or you feel I can help on your projects, please feel free to contact me. You can contact me through my website, robinexford.com, and I'm sure there are some contact details underneath this video. So thank you once again. Have a great day.